Welcome back. Today, we are diving into a brand new explainer, and we're looking at a fascinating module called the nature of brain. We're going to skip all the fluff today and just jump straight into the hidden cognitive architecture of human bias and perception. It's honestly a super eye-opening look at why we think the way we do. So let's just get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. The source material starts us off with a really massive, but seemingly simple question. How do we actually make sense of the world? I mean, think about it. From the second you wake up, your brain is just absolutely bombarded with reality, right? You're taking in this endless, massive stream of information. And the text uses this exact question to totally deconstruct what we think we know about our own minds. We usually assume we're just kind of passively observing reality, but as we'll see, the process is way more active and, honestly, way more surprising than any of us realize.
So that brings us to section 1, making sense of the world.
Normally, we assume perception is just a basic two-step process. Step 1, taking in the world around us, and Step 2, attempting to make sense of it. Intuitively, we all kind of like to believe our brain is this high-definition video camera hooked up to a supercomputer. We figure Step 1 just flawlessly records pure data, and Step 2 perfectly files that data away into neat little logical folders, like a computer saving a document. We really think we're capturing an objective reality. But hold on to that thought, because we're about to rip the Band-Aid off here. The text reveals that our brain's actual underlying architecture handles this whole thing very, very differently.
Moving right along to section 2, close is good enough. Close is good enough. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how this exact quote from the text just completely shatters our intellectual ego. This right here is the actual baseline for human perception. Your brain fundamentally settles for this. Rather than striving for, perfect, 100% accuracy when trying to understand the world, your brain actively decides that an approximation, yeah, that'll do just fine. And the implications for how we process truth are just absolutely massive.
So according to the text, the brain actively abandons perfect accuracy. It operates on this close enough principle because it is ruthlessly prioritizing cognitive efficiency. It's like, okay, think about driving a super familiar route, like your commute home from work. You know how sometimes you pull into your driveway and you literally don't consciously remember the last 5 turns? Or the exact color of the car that was right in front of you? Your brain didn't record every detail because it didn't need to. It just processed the bare minimum required to get you home safely. Because honestly, processing every single detail of reality with perfect, unbiased accuracy would take an immense amount of energy. So to save juice and keep you moving, your brain takes a shortcut. This kind of lazy but highly efficient mechanism is literally the foundation of how our minds operate every single day.
Which leads us directly into section 3, the secret of bias.
We really need to completely redefine the word bias here, based on the exact framing of our source text. Bias is our conscious mind seeking control, and wow, this really changes everything. We usually think of a bias as this passive flaw, right? Like a blind spot we just sort of stumble into by mistake. So the crucial point is that the text explicitly states bias is a highly active, conscious mechanism. It's something your mind is actively doing, not just something that's randomly happening to it. It is literally a mechanism for control. Think about it. When your brain relies on that close is good enough shortcut we just talked about, it leaves a ton of gaps in reality. But here's the thing. Your conscious mind absolutely hates uncertainty. It desperately wants to feel like it's got both hands firmly gripping the steering wheel of reality. So it deploys bias deliberately. Just think about how fast we might categorize a complete stranger based on just one trait, like maybe the way they dress or a single opinion they voice. Boom. You instantly put them in a mental box just so you can feel like you understand them and can predict what they'll do next. Bias is the tool your conscious mind uses to force this messy, incredibly unpredictable world into a neat, controllable box that's easy to digest. You use bias to keep your grip.
Now for the darkest part of this module, Section 4, Masking Forbidden Ideas.
So, bias has a dual nature. We just covered the first side, the mind seeking control over everyday reality. But the direct consequence of that desperate need for control is the second side, masking forbidden ideas. And this brilliantly illustrates how the two are connected, because your conscious mind is so incredibly desperate to maintain its tight grip, it will actively work to hide, obscure, or just completely mask truths that are simply too uncomfortable or too destabilizing to accept. The need for control literally creates the necessity for our blind spots.
Forbidden ideas. I mean, just pause and think about the psychological weight of those two words. It implies that there are realities out there, maybe about ourselves, maybe about our society, or even the people closest to us, that our conscious mind has actively labeled as forbidden. The brain essentially decides that seeing these specific ideas accurately would completely ruin that close enough efficiency we rely on. It would destroy our sense of control. So what does it do? The conscious mind uses bias as a mask to permanently hide them from our own view.
Which leaves us with one final, deeply provocative thought. What forbidden ideas is your conscious mind trying to mask right now? Based on the explainer today, we know for a fact your brain isn't perfectly accurate. We know it happily settles for close enough. And we know your conscious mind actively uses bias to hide uncomfortable truths. So really, the question isn't whether your mind is masking something right now, it's what is it masking? Definitely something to chew on the next time you feel absolutely 100% certain about your reality. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I'll see you in the next one.